There are moments in sports when winning a match is no longer the biggest story. For Alex Eala, that moment didn't happen inside a packed tennis stadium. It happened on the cover of a magazine. Only weeks after making history at Wimbledon, the young Filipina appeared as the face of Metro's special homecoming edition. And almost overnight, people who had never watched a single tennis match were sharing her photos. Fashion pages talked about her. Lifestyle magazines featured her. Even people completely outside the sports world wanted to know one thing. How did a tennis player become the center of an entirely different conversation? The answer has almost nothing to do with expensive clothes or a glamorous photo shoot. Because this wasn't about fashion. It was about what Alex Eala had quietly become. And once you look past the beautiful pictures, this cover tells a much bigger story than almost anyone realized. Before the cameras, before the designer outfits, before the historic Manila mansion, there was Wimbledon. That's where everything changed. Alex didn't walk into that tournament carrying the weight of expectation. She arrived as a talented young player still trying to prove she belonged among the best in the world. And then, match after match, she kept surprising everyone. Her run captured attention far beyond the Philippines. Fans weren't just celebrating wins anymore. They were witnessing history. For millions of Filipinos, watching one of their own compete deep into one of tennis's biggest tournaments felt almost unreal. Every win made headlines. Every performance pulled in new supporters. Every match made more people believe Philippine tennis was stepping into a completely different era. But here's the part almost nobody expected. Normally, when a remarkable run ends, the attention fades fast. Fans move on. Another player, another headline, another story. That didn't happen with Alex Eala. The conversation kept growing. People stopped talking only about her forehand, her ranking, her next opponent. They wanted to know who she actually was. And that shift matters more than it sounds. Because winning matches can make an athlete famous. But becoming someone people keep talking about long after the match is over, that's something else entirely. That's exactly what Metro understood. Instead of treating Alex like just another athlete celebrating a great tournament, the magazine presented her as someone whose story had already outgrown the tennis court. And the title said it all. Homecoming. Simple word. Much deeper meaning. Professional tennis barely lets athletes stay in one place. Another country. Another airport. Another hotel. Another tournament. Week after week, players get reduced to rankings and results. Numbers on a screen. Metro told the opposite story. Instead of showing Alex as another jet-setting international athlete, the magazine brought her home. Back to the Philippines. Back to the culture that shaped her. Back to the people who cheered every point from thousands of miles away. That single decision gave the entire shoot emotional weight. It wasn't saying, asterisk, look how successful she's become. Asterisk, it was quietly saying, asterisk, look where she comes from. Asterisk, two very different messages. And the location made that message hit even harder. Instead of a modern studio with bright lights and expensive props, Alex stood inside one of Manila's historic landmarks. Timeless architecture, Filipino heritage, nothing rushed, nothing generic. Every image connected the country's past with one of its brightest young stars. Nothing about it was accidental. Every choice was designed to remind people that while Alex competes across the globe, her roots never left the Philippines. That connection is exactly why this cover felt different from every other celebrity magazine spread. Sports stars land on covers constantly. Most of it disappears in a week. Polished, pretty, forgotten. But this cover carried something more. It wasn't trying to introduce a fashion model. It wasn't trying to reinvent a tennis player. It was showing the world that Alex no longer needed a tennis court to hold everyone's attention. Small detail on paper. Massive shift in reality. Because now, the public wasn't just seeing an athlete. They were starting to see a cultural figure. Someone whose influence stretched past rankings and trophies. Someone who could represent ambition, discipline, and modern Filipino identity, all in a single frame. Now, one magazine cover doesn't make anyone a national icon overnight. That kind of legacy takes years to build, and Alex's story is still being written. But this feature proved something impossible to ignore. The conversation around her had changed for good. People weren't only waiting for her next match anymore. They wanted the person behind the victories. And that's usually the exact moment an athlete starts turning into something far bigger than sport. But here's where the story takes a sharper turn. Because if the homecoming theme gave the cover at heart, one small styling choice quietly revealed the entire message hidden in plain sight. At first glance, it all looked like a celebration. Beautiful photos, elegant fashion, a historic mansion, a young star enjoying the biggest moment of her career. But look closer. Alex Eala wasn't wearing heels. She was wearing sneakers. To most people, that reads as a simple styling decision. It wasn't. It was a statement. The team behind this shoot could have transformed Alex into a completely different image, hidden every trace of the athlete underneath. Instead, they kept her identity alive. The gown represented grace. The sneakers represented years of sacrifice. Together, without a single word, they told the whole story. Alex didn't have to choose between being an athlete and embracing elegance. She could be both, at the same time, fully. That balance is what made the image unforgettable. For years, female athletes have been shoved into unfair boxes, either praised only for performance or reduced to appearance, as if strength and elegance can't exist in the same photograph. This cover quietly rejected that idea. Nothing about it suggested Alex was pretending to be someone new. She wasn't becoming a celebrity who happened to play tennis. She was still the same disciplined competitor who had grinded through brutal training, tense matches, and the pressure of representing an entire country on one of the sport's biggest stages. Only the setting had changed. Instead of center court, the camera became the spotlight. And somehow, she looked just as comfortable in it. Because confidence doesn't appear the moment someone puts on expensive clothes. Real confidence is built through pressure, through experience, through learning how to perform while thousands of eyes are watching. Alex had already proven that at Wimbledon. So by the time she stood in front of Metro's camera, she wasn't manufacturing confidence. She had already earned it. You could see it in her posture, her expression. You could simply feel it through the page. That's why nothing about these photos looked staged. Nothing looked forced. The magazine wasn't inventing a new version of Alex Eala. It was revealing another side of the same person. And that's exactly why the feature connected with so many different audiences at once. Tennis fans saw the fighter they had just cheered for. Fashion lovers appreciated the styling and the Filipino designers behind it. Young Filipinos saw someone from their own country standing confidently in a space usually reserved for celebrities. Different people, different reasons, same person they walked away talking about. That kind of reach is rare. Even the mansion played its part. Instead of a generic luxury hotel or an international backdrop, Metro chose a piece of Filipino history, quietly linking the country's past with its rising future. The mansion represented heritage. Alex represented possibility. Together, they built something far bigger than a fashion spread. It became a reminder that success doesn't erase where you come from. If anything, it makes those roots mean even more. And that's where the story stops being about one magazine cover and starts being about something much bigger. The future of Philippine tennis itself. The real value of Metro's homecoming feature can't be measured in copies sold or likes gathered. Its significance runs deeper than that. Because this wasn't a celebration of Alex Eala's past, it was a quiet introduction to her future. In sports, there's always a moment when an athlete stops representing only themselves. Without asking for it, without even fully realizing it, they start representing something much bigger. For Alex, that moment may have already arrived. When she steps onto a court today, millions of Filipinos aren't just watching a match. They're watching possibility play out point by point. That kind of connection isn't built overnight. It's earned through years of discipline, setbacks, and quiet sacrifice most people never see. Before Wimbledon, before the magazine cover, Alex was simply another young athlete chasing a dream many considered close to impossible. Professional tennis has always been dominated by countries with decades of infrastructure and deep financial backing. The Philippines was never considered one of those tennis powerhouses. That's exactly what makes her rise so remarkable. She wasn't following an existing path. She was carving one. And that's why her story reaches far beyond the sport itself. Young athletes don't just see a successful tennis player anymore. They see proof that international success is possible, even from a country the world never expected to produce a Grand Slam contender. That kind of representation carries real weight. Because before anyone can chase a dream, they first have to believe it belongs to them. Alex made that belief feel real. A young girl picking up a racket today sees her sport differently now. Parents see a realistic future in it. Coaches feel renewed motivation. Local clubs welcome kids who watch her fight on the world's biggest stage and wanted the same for themselves. No single magazine cover can create that shift on its own, but it can amplify a movement already in motion. And that's exactly what makes this moment worth paying attention to. Metro didn't build Alex Eala's influence. Her performances on the court did that. The magazine simply noticed what fans had already started to feel, that her impact had outgrown rankings and results. She was becoming a symbol of modern Filipino ambition. Someone who could win on the world stage without losing the identity that built her. And maybe that's the most powerful part of this whole story. Global success often pressures public figures to blend in, to appear neutral, to fit everywhere instead of belonging somewhere. This homecoming feature did the exact opposite. It embraced her roots. The historic setting, the Filipino designers, the celebration of home. Every choice reminded viewers that international recognition doesn't demand leaving your identity behind. Sometimes, identity is the strength. That message reaches far past tennis. It speaks to students chasing opportunities abroad, young professionals building global careers, artists and dreamers wondering if success means becoming someone else. Alex's story answers that question without saying a word. No, you can grow on the world stage and still stay completely connected to where you started. Of course, none of this guarantees what comes next. Professional tennis shows no mercy. Every tournament starts from zero. Every opponent studies your game. Yesterday's breakthrough means nothing if tomorrow you stop improving. Alex knows that better than anyone. Attention doesn't win matches. Magazine covers don't earn ranking points. Only performance does that. Which is exactly why her next chapter is worth watching so closely. The expectations are higher now. The spotlight is brighter. The pressure is heavier. But pressure is usually the price of real possibility. Every generation of athletes eventually reaches the point where people stop hoping for greatness and start expecting it. Alex is stepping into that stage right now. Whether she captures more major titles or faces hard setbacks along the way, one thing is already certain. She changed the conversation. Not because of one photo shoot. Not because of one magazine. Not even because of one unforgettable Wimbledon run. She changed it because millions of people now see something different the moment they hear her name. Not just a tennis player. Resilience. Opportunity. National pride. A future that suddenly feels closer than it ever has. Maybe that's why this cover landed at exactly the right moment. Not at the end of an extraordinary career, but at the very beginning of one. It captured Alex while her story is still being written. While every tournament adds a new chapter. While every win pushes another young athlete to dream just a little bigger. Years from now, people might remember the elegant photos, the historic mansion, the striking fashion, that unforgettable image of a black gown paired with sneakers. But those are only the surface. The real story is simpler than that. Metro didn't ask the world to notice Alex Eala. The world was already watching. The magazine simply captured the exact moment a rising tennis star became something bigger than the sport itself. Because in the end, the spotlight didn't create Alex Eala. It only revealed what had been there all along. And if her journey keeps unfolding the way so many believe it will, this homecoming won't be remembered as the destination. It will be remembered as the moment the world realized Alex Eala's story was only just beginning.